Welcome to the Using the Sutherland College online learning environment. Today we're going to be looking at how we add content into the curriculum areas of this online environment. The first thing I'll see when I log on to the learning environment is it brings me into this main page, and I can get to anywhere on that learning environment site. If I am logged on as a user onto the school network, you'll see that I'm already recognised as Carey.Rebecca. I won't need to re-log into the site. However, if I'm working away from school, maybe at a home machine, I'll need to come in through https://sutherlandcollege.tor.org.uk, and I'll be prompted for my username and my password, just as if I was logging on to a network machine. What we're going to be looking at today is curriculum, so you're going to need to press the word curriculum. Now you'll see that we've pressed curriculum and we've come into the curriculum area, and there are each of the subject areas in the middle section. If you look at the example that I've put there, I've just circled English, and if we click on English, you'll see that the faculty name is on the screen with years 7 to 11 and 6 modules for each one of those year groups. Now, don't worry if that's not how you set up your curriculum. Those areas are there as a template for you to change, so what you might want to do is for each of the year groups, you'll want to add a module name instead of leaving them blank. Or it could be that you organise Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4 separately. So you might want to alter them maybe from years 7 to 8 and then into Key Stage 4. Those can be easily changed by your department area to something that best suits yourself. Now what we're going to be looking at today is creating a new site within that curriculum area. And for each unit of work, we will have a new site, almost like a mini website with all the elements that we need in for each one of our units. Once you've pressed on New Site, you'll come into the menu option here. Now, to make it easier, I've set up a Sutherland template. It's quite blank, but that's deliberate so that you can decide which elements that you want to put into that site. The important thing about the site is that when you click on Sutherland template, you'll be prompted for a name. And the naming structure is really important, that you set something up that's uniform that you can sequentially find throughout SharePoint. If you look at the example of ICT, we've got ICT_Year 8 Module 2 Games Design, and then we've copied that into the URL name underneath. Logically, the next module would be ICT_Year 8 Module 3 and then the unit name. So it's worth taking the opportunity now that you're with your curriculum area to think about the structure that you want to use to set up your curriculum area within SharePoint. And that could be your subject area, year group, the unit number, and then what the module or the unit will be called. Now that we've created the site, we enter it in a read-only format. So what we're going to need to do is click on Site Actions at the top of the page and click on Edit. Now that we've created our site, we're going to have a look at how it's made up. So it's split into two main sections, a left and a right. If we have a look at the large right-hand section, the template that I've created has 4 main sections to it. It has a section at the top that I can write in, and then in the middle where you can see shared documents and class announcements. Those are 2 areas where I've put content in that sits on that page, and we'll look at that a little bit more later. And then you can just about see the bottom section where I can write in that as well. And we'll look at how we change those templates later. On the left hand side where you can see libraries, lists and discussions, that's our navigation. So anything we put on the page will appear in that navigation, and that helps us get between the sites and back home again. Now you'll also notice at the top of the page there is a little purple box. Now it won't appear in that place. You should look to the left-hand side at the top and you will see that little yellow folder. But one of the things that I hear quite often is that people get lost when they're in SharePoint because it is so big. If that happens and you need to know where you are and how to get back home, if you click onto that little yellow folder, it will show you exactly in the structure where you are, and also how to get back into your curriculum area and then how to get back home. Now that we're in edit mode, we can start adding content into our site. So you'll notice at the top of the page you get the ribbon that allows you to edit the content. This is quite easy because if you're used to using Microsoft Word, you'll be very familiar with all of the icons at the top of the page, such as how to change fonts, how to change sizes. And a bit like using text boxes, once we click in those boxes, we can put content and write content in there. What I've done also is I've included, you'll see at the bottom, the insert box. So if you click on insert, if you're used to using things such as images or links to sites or tables, that in the same way as you're using Microsoft Word, you'll also be able to put that content in as well. Now, I mentioned earlier that I'd split my template up into 4 sections, a top, 2 middle and a bottom. Now, if you decide you want to alter that, you'll see I've highlighted a menu on the right hand side in red. Now I chose, I think it's the 5th option down, which is 2 columns with a header and a footer. However, if you just want to keep your site simple and use it as if you would do a normal Word template writing box, then you can click on the top option, which will just give you 1 column. You'll be able then to have a big area where you just type in content along the whole page. Now, I mentioned earlier that in the middle of my template, I've got shared documents and I've got class announcements. I know a number of you watching this will have experience in using learning platforms before, and a lot of the common feedback I get is that it was a lot of effort for not much in return really, that students didn't use the sites that were put up. And what we need to do is think about this in a different way. Each one of these units of work or these sites that we set up is a working area. So as a student, I should come here for all the things that I need to get through that unit. So for example, if I was studying a play for a particular unit and there may be 5 scenes to that play, as a teacher I might decide that in the shared documents area I'm going to add those 5 scenes, and students will know that they can come to this area to find those 5 scenes. If I find that my students are struggling, I might put extra resources in, such as templates to help them or additional guides. In the same way as putting things in, I can also take content out. So if I decide that actually students aren't benefiting from certain documents, I can get rid of them so it's not confusing. I've also got class announcements on the right hand side, and this is a really nice feature because again, relating to that specific unit of work, I might have deadlines for students. It could be a GCSE group, it could be a performing arts group where there are current bits of information that I want the class to know. I can put them in a specific announcements area. I do appreciate I've misspelled announcements. I can set a time limit on those announcements so that, again, I haven't got maybe 20 appearing on the page. I've got them coming up for a specific amount of time and then they will disappear. One of the things that I wanted to highlight on the left hand side was the discussions, because again we have talked about this being a working area. So if over a period of time I want to help students with homework, I might set up a discussion group where we can post up as a group questions and feedback as a teacher and students. So to do this, if you have a look at picture 1 at the bottom, I've clicked on discussions and it will tell me at the moment that there aren't any discussions there and I need to create one. So I'm going to click on create. I'll then get a similar menu box that we used for setting up the site. It will ask me to click on that and then put a name in. And I could call my discussion homework or homework help. Now that I've created my homework help, I might have more than one discussion going on or discussion thread going on in that. It could be that I've maybe set for 5 pieces of homework and I want a discussion running for each one of those. So for example here, I've clicked on subject, so I've got a new discussion thread in my homework help. I've got subject and then a body of text so that I could explain what the homework is about or ask a question. If again I'm used to adding maybe images or I want to discuss a document, I can attach that document via that discussion group. I can then save it, and when the students click onto discussion, they will see that I've posted up a question and possibly there's a document attached to it. They can click on that and they can add their own response. So we could have a number of conversations relating to that unit of work flowing throughout the time that we're teaching it. We've created a site at the moment with 1 page, and for some of the units of work you teach, that might be adequate. You can attach discussions, announcements, picture or document libraries, and content on the page. But there might be units whereby you feel that you need to add more pages into the site. So for example, you might have a number of lessons that you want to have a dedicated page for. To add new pages onto your site, we need to use site actions at the top, and just below edit page that we've been using, you'll see new page. When I click on new page within my site, it will prompt me to give a new page title and create. Now, I've put lesson 1 for mine, and it could be that you have lesson 1, 2, 3, 4 running through your unit. However, you might decide to split the unit up differently. So if we go back to using a book or a play, we might not have lessons 1 to 4. We might split the site into characters, author, background history. And again, I can click on those dedicated pages and put the correct content in. As we create the new page, you need to remember that you'll be in a read-only mode and you need to go in and edit that page. And you'll see exactly the same menus as we've had before. You can use the ribbon at the top to change the text and also how the page is laid out. If you have created more than one page, you will see that you've got under Libraries, Site Pages, and that will include all of the pages that you create on your site. You can add discussions and document libraries throughout anywhere on your site. They'll always be accessible through that left-hand menu.